Commander Jeremy Estelle.
Good morning, Levi.
Thank you for coming to the Keep Times headquarters for a little chat with us.
Perfect.
We were here to talk about Star Trek, and specifically, Commander, your new starship, your Edmonton starship, the USS Cerberus. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself, a little bit about Star Trek International, and your crusade for your maiden voyage?
Absolutely. First and foremost, Starfleet International is an organization that's been around since about 1974, and it's spanned the globe. It comes around. It initially started in the United States, expanded to Canada. There's ships in South America, Australia, New Zealand, Europe. So we have approximately over 200 ships with about 5,500 members. So we really are international in that sense. As for me, I've been a Star Trek fan since, I'm going to say probably I was 7 or 8 years old, and that was my first introduction to the original series. And that's where my love of Star Trek began, really. And then from there, it just progressed on through the motion pictures, and then, of course, we had television with The Next Generation, and then the iterations after that. And then for me, been in Edmonton, the Edmonton area since 1997. I was in the military for 10 years, and then I had some other occupations in between then. And as for the ship itself, the Cerberus, we just really came into existence in February. I spearheaded that, and we're slowly getting the process to become a commissioned vessel.
And what class of starship is the Cerberus, if you mind explaining a little bit about your ship itself?
She is a multidisciplinary battlecruiser, and it has the ability to take on many different missions. And from science and exploration, which of course is what we all understand Star Trek to be, the Federation, to explore strange new worlds. And the Akira itself has the ability to definitely be the frontline vessel, the teeth of Starfleet, if you will, being the battle cruiser. So we're pretty blessed that way.
And the Cerberus is Edmonton based. There are 2 other ships in Alberta, I do believe. One, I believe, Commander Steele was the
correct
a part of it. That was the Calgary Chinook.
Yes.
Can you tell me a little bit about the Medicine Hat vessel?
My first introduction to Starfleet International was the Calgary ship, the USS Chinook. And I was definitely impressed with the level of fandom, the commitment of the people. So that was my first connection. I don't have any connection, actually, with the Medicine Hat vessel. I haven't met the captain, and unfortunately, being so new, I haven't had that time to connect with the other captains either.
Well, once your ship's maiden voyage is afloat, I'm sure your 3 vessels will mingle in open space and
absolutely
take it from there. Can you tell me a little bit about Starfleet or Star Trek International? And Starfleet International and the membership. There is a $5 American membership to be a part of Starfleet. Can you tell us a little bit about the membership, a little bit about what it brings to the table when
absolutely
when it comes to fandom?
There's discounts with other companies. There's discounts with hotels, with car rentals. So there is some financial incentive for that, for that $5 US. And then on top of that, the real fandom, the fun stuff, comes from engaging within the Starfleet Education Academy.
I would like to talk a little bit about the Starfleet Academy, because that's one of the things that interests me most about this whole Starfleet initiative. I was looking through some of the courses here, and the things I'm interested in are the College of Borg Technology. There's the Ferengi orientation courses. Does that teach you something about Ferengi culture and kind of their commerce values? The Ferengi class, an example. The Borg, that's probably a huge curriculum and things to explore. What are these courses that Starfleet Academy offer?
I've never taken anything from the Ferengi Academy, so that would be new to me. But as far as I know from the other courses I've taken, yes, it gives you a really in-depth idea of the culture of the organization, the technology.
Being a commander yourself, can you tell me about the Kobayashi maneuver and how you yourself got through it?
That in itself, the Kobayashi Maru, I think we've had many of those in our lifetime. And when it comes to Starfleet International, the the greatest acknowledgement of a no-win situation is not reaching out to the people who have the answers or who have more knowledge than you. If you choose not to do that, then you are going to fail.
Going back to the academy itself, I noticed there are other courses, or like courses, for example, like the Class of the Middle Earth and whatnot. Are those also offered through Starfleet International?
Absolutely, yes. Now, Starfleet International and the academy itself is multidisciplinary. If you have an interest in science fiction writing,
If
public
you're into
health,
espionage and
absolutely.
007,
Telling you,
there's a lot of very interesting classes in this.
There is. So I mean, it doesn't always have to be Star Trek focused, but there is a lot of fun things in there. So
can you tell me a little bit about the Vulcan Kulat Shan? Am I pronouncing that correctly? Because
that's a great question. I don't know. I don't know how to pronounce that correctly. So you're with me. But infinite diversity and infinite combinations.
I think that would be a very important motto for a crew building, the crew building process. Can you tell me a little bit about building a crew and trying to get your Cerberus to space and why people would want to join you on this journey?
That having diversity in a crew is paramount. You need someone who has an interest in leadership and direction. You need someone to identify the major cultural things that are going on in 2021 and make sure that our ship is accessible. It's and from men, women, it is connected to all people, and that diversity is important to us. I want to get as many people involved. From all cultures, from all backgrounds.
And could you tell me a little bit about what involvement the crew members do? Will have? Like, what do you guys do? Do you guys go to conventions when COVID is no longer a thing?
Absolutely, yeah, we are. That is our plan. Our main goal is to represent the ship at expos and conventions, take part in community services. That to me is a big deal. I would like to, of course, be part of Capital City Cleanup. I'm also interested in Canada Blood Services and providing blood drives. But on the other side, for the crew, they're going to present organizations and community service that they value, and then we would take part of that as a ship. And for us, that is the most important part. We want to be out there. We want to engage with people. We want them to know that we are Star Trek fans. You are welcome, and we want you to be a part of us.
Can we talk a little bit about music in the Star Trek world? And let's see what you know about it. Do you know much about Klingon or Andorian operas? Like, what kind of Star Trek-inspired music are you into?
I don't know anything about Andorian opera, but I do know a little bit about Klingon opera, and my exposure was through DS9, through Worf and his interest in Klingon opera. And I haven't sat down to listen to any other than that, so my interest in music is great. I used to actually be in a music program throughout high school as well, so I love music, and I'd love to learn more about the culturals.
How about Trek art? I know yourself. You are a tailor and a clothing maker.
Yep.
Can you tell me a little bit about I guess the top of your wardrobe there?
Sure.
And let's go a little bit about attire.
I think that costuming and uniforms have always been paramount with Star Trek. We've always seen the iconic original series gold top with Captain Kirk, and the science colors, and the guy in the red shirt who was always going to be the one that was going to bite it in the episode. But for me, my sewing is a hobby. It's a hobby business, very small. I've made what I'm wearing here today. So
could you walk us through the top of your uniform?
Absolutely. So of course we have the command pips here. Of course that's my rank as a commander. You have your duty undershirt that you would have seen essentially from mid DS9 through Star Trek, Nemesis, Insurrection, the major motion pictures. So this is that style of undershirt. And then we have our duty vest as well. So and again, you'd find that in the First Contact, Insurrection, DS9 era. And I've made all these, and I have made full uniforms for other people as well.
Now I would like to talk about the crew and the levels of availability that you can join in.
And I want people to bring in their specialties. I want people to bring in their interest in music, in art, in electronic. I guess really in electronics for prop building, and then of course digital programs as well. And that's going to that's going to bring in a new dynamic with what we want to do. So we have operations, we have command, we have a Marine Strike Group. We have a person who's qualifying to become the officer in command of our Marine Strike Group, a part of our vessel. We have sciences and medical.
And you also have regular and reserve officers. Mm-hmm. I'm assuming all of those listed above are regular officers if you want to get deep into the program.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about the reserves then?
Mm-hmm.
And,
I had to create 2 different levels of fan engagement. And I'm also going to have to change the name for reserve, but essentially it's for people who don't want to be fully engrossed in the ship. They don't want to take on administrative roles or responsibility. It's somebody who, I want to come to a watch party, or I'm going to meet you at the expo, and I want to be a part of your ship, and that's as far as I want to take it. And I welcome all of that, and I want people to at least have the experience to connect with other Star Trek fans in a Star Trek universe, so that they can enjoy it.
You mentioned during your intro that you have a background in the military. Mm-hmm. Has that played any kind of a role in this establishment of your vessel? And are there any things you've taken from that time of your service to what you're doing now as a commander of a starship?
Yes, absolutely. And there's the leadership, there's the administration, there's the team building, there's also the understanding of people and knowing that every person is different, and employing them to their best ability so that they'll succeed. And that was paramount that I was learning when I was in the Canadian Forces, is that you want to put the right people in the right job, but you want to make sure that as part of leadership that they succeed at what they do.
If for anyone else who are seeking to maybe climb up the Starfleet ladder, can you tell us a little bit about the protocol to say if somebody wants to become a first officer or a lieutenant, or
absolutely,
how high can you rise, and what's the process of doing so?
Starfleet itself, Starfleet International, does not have a standardized promotion scale. I created one for the Cerberus, and it bases heavily with community service, hours of service, as well as as going through the Starfleet Academy in many courses, and all of those build into taking on senior leadership.
I'm going to give a shout out right now to Alex Sorchan of our other show, More Than Meets the Eye. I'm going to ask you about aliens.
Outside of Starfleet International, so this is just Jeremy Estelle speaking, I firmly believe that there's intelligent life out in the universe outside of Earth. I absolutely do. I honestly think that those species have been to our planet before, and I'm looking forward to the day that maybe within my lifetime, I don't know, that we may have that first contact.
First contact is a very important thing for Star Trek. That's,
yes.
Can we talk then just a little bit about Star Trek in general?
Yeah.
What is your favorite episode of Star Trek? How did you get into Star Trek? And,
God, favorite episode. I really enjoy the story of Ensign Ro Laren and the complexities between her and Jean-Luc Picard.
She was a Bajoran.
She was a Bajoran, and for her, there was a lot of conflict, because on one hand she was being ordered to essentially betray her people, and then on the other hand she was also being ordered to betray her captain. So talk about an absolute Kobayashi Maru dealing with, what do I do? It's a no-win situation, but she found it. She found out honesty with her captain, candor, and responsibility as an officer.
Other remarks you'd like to tell the Keep Times about Starfleet International?
I'm thankful. First and foremost, being able to have a local interest from your organization has been huge, and I hope that we can continue. I want people to know. I mean, how many Star Trek fans are part of your viewer base? I don't know, and if there are, now they know that the Cerberus is here for them.
Perfect. Well, thank you, Commander Jeremy Estelle. Thank you for talking to the Keep Times.
Levi, thank you.
I know we all love Star Trek here.
Yes,
so I'm looking forward to see the USS Cerberus past its what phase was this in again?
Well, we're in our shakedown cruise, and we're
past
in
the
month
shakedown
3.
cruise. Yeah, and in the full echelon of subspace.
Well, I'm looking forward to having you as part of the crew.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to perhaps being a member and.
Beautiful, beautiful, wonderful. And I'll close out with, as always, live long and prosper.
Yes, sir. You too, Commander. Thank you very much for being here.